Greetings and salutations. Welcome to At the Table, where we get a little crunchy. Let's introduce our my co-host here, the man with the mighty, mighty beard and the mighty, mighty candles. Ian, why don't you introduce yourself?
Hey guys, hopefully anyone who's seen the show should know me by now or seen Edge of Legend. But at any point, if you haven't seen me or are new to the show, my name is Ian. I play Woodwort, the gnome druid on Edge of Legend, and I'm filling in for PJ for the time being as he gets through his crazy December month just like the rest of us.
And it is very, very crazy. And I, as always, am Michael, and I play the fabulous Rufa on Edge of Legend. And yeah, today's episode is, we're going to try something new, but something I've been super, super excited about, because when I heard Ian was going to join us at the table for the month of December, I was like, we're going to do this. If we don't do this, I'm going to flip a table. And that's going to make me sad and hurt because I have expensive computers on my table and I have a bad back. So, yeah. So anyway, good, evil, we're the guys with the fireballs. We're going to be talking about alignments in this episode. Something,
Yeah.
Get
into the nitty-gritty.
This is why I was really excited we got you on the show for this.
Oh yeah, I can't wait.
But really quickly, this is actually going to be a two-part episode because there's what 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. There's 9 alignments. That's a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're not going to be able to cram it in one episode.
No. So much so. 9. There should be so more. There should be so many more, but 9 is all they can muster, and all anyone has any time for.
Well, I think originally, like way, way back in the olden days, there was, I think, only 4, which were good, evil, lawful, and chaotic. That's it.
Yeah, you're exactly right. Those 4 were put into the original game and actually came up with a how do I put this? One of the precursors to all of TTRPGs as we know it actually started with those 4 alignments for the armies you could choose to fight in the game. It was called chainmail.
Yeah.
And from there on out, it's kind of grown into what we know today.
Oh, yep. Sydney in chat saying, yes, the Fable discussion.
Yes, it's
the
definitely
much anticipated discussion.
So, where are we going to start off first with this?
First of all, I was thinking, like I said, we're going to talk a little about just alignment in general, I think, because alignment has really evolved during the course of the TTRPG hobby, I think, right?
Absolutely. It's evolved in a few different ways. It's easy to say that alignment, it doesn't matter in some ways because of how much a character can change or a player's taste can change in the game or whatever they want to play. But then there's a huge argument for it as well, and I think that kind of shows the growth that it's taken place already.
Yeah. As well, our characters, we want to kind of, they're people. I feel safe to say they're people. They're representations of us, right, as players.
Yeah, I can say I would. It is safe to say that just like every author puts themselves in their own work, there's probably a little bit of ourselves in every character that you create. So the alignment system itself is, I think, a tool that can be used either to facilitate that piece of you that's inside of the character or try to wipe it out to play somebody completely different than yourself.
Would you say that there's a little bit of Ian and Woodward?
Oh, definitely. Through and through. I can't play a character that I can't be sarcastic with. I have a mouth and I'm not afraid to use it. So I definitely have that in common with Woodward. And also, Woodward and I both love drinking. As far as going through beers, whiskeys, anything we can get our hands on, it is one of those things that we use as a hobby. I honestly made him distill because I've been making my own booze here in quarantine. I've been making mead. So, yeah, I think it's definitely
we need
some
to
of that
do like
stuff
a
that pulls through.
booze episode one day. Like
Oh yeah,
Ian
I would.
slash Woodward's choice booze, because we've had discussions about beer and stuff.
Yeah, I know we have, and I definitely wouldn't be opposed to that. Bringing in a few, and the fact that a lot of different beers there are to review that actually have great TTRPG names already stuck into them, because there's a lot of beer drinkers who also love the role-playing game systems.
Oh, very, very, very much true. And like you said, that there's a bit of Ian in Woodward. I would like to think there's a bit of Michael in Rufa.
Yeah.
Because I tend to also well, yeah, I don't tend. I actually do overthink things a lot. I make things more complicated sometimes than it actually needs to be.
I can honestly say that there's a little bit the coolest parts of a character that you can never bring to the table, no matter concerning alignment or not, is the things that you normally wouldn't do yourself. That is also really cool to bring in. I think with Woodward, one thing that's definitely come across is I have a tendency, unlike you overthink things. I have a tendency to try to find Occam's razor, even though it's usually not the best choice. I go, oh no, I can fix this, and I'll just get it done, but it clearly could have either been done better or faster or even in a neater fashion.
True. As you said before, does alignment even matter anymore? Would you say, because there's been a lot of discussion on forums, groups, a lot of videos on YouTube saying that alignment is dead. What's your take on this?
I can see where that comes from. A lot of that I personally feel comes from the change inside of, I guess to use the greater known term, the Paladin. Across almost all TTRPGs has now opened up their, basically opened up their alignment system to whatever. One step within their god is usually a thing. Sometimes no alignment at all is needed. I personally think that alignments are still very relevant to your character. And not only for spell effects, because remember, protection against good or evil, neutral character can walk through any of those protections without any problem. There's a lot of things like that that matter, but I like to think of it as a cheat sheet. I think everybody should start off playing. Okay, well, here's a bigger thing, but I think everyone should play a lawful good character at first, because that's how we usually operate society. Most of us do, if not chaotic good at times. But having that alignment at the top of your page and why it's not dead is if you're playing a character like, say, a lawful evil rogue or something, you can look down at the top of the page, and if you're having trouble looking at a decision or making a decision as a party or anything, you can look down and say, oh, LE, lawful evil. Well, I'm going to obey the law now, but I'm also going to try to twist it into something that'll benefit me in the long run. And using that system of alignments as a cheat sheet to keep your character on track throughout its time as a character inside of the story, and as they evolve, it can change. And that's another reason why people say things like this are dead. But honestly, I personally feel that it's still very relevant to playing the game, although I do think that it has become more relevant to the RP rather than the technical aspects.
I will say this on the technical aspect of things, creatures such as angels, demons, and actually entire planes of existence. It's sometimes so interwoven with the alignments of good and evil that in those cases, I feel alignment is actually still really important.
Yeah, and it is very interesting to find out why those planes or those beings have those alignments. Do I think that I don't think it is fun for the game to ever say that there is one being, no matter what it is, has to fall within this alignment. It just kills the variety that we find in everybody here on Earth. You find the differences in between one person to the next, and that's one of the reasons why you have so many friends. You don't just find one friend and stick with them because they can't bring everything to the table. You know, it's that kind of feeling that why the planes of existence can have alignments. I think it's just kind of a greater consensus.
Yeah, well, some of these planes are also they're artificial in nature. So they were created through someone or something's motives. There's reasons behind why it's good, why it's evil, why it's lawful, why it's chaotic. Like the lawful and chaotic in the sense of, oh god, I'm blanking on the name of this race of people. They're like machines. They're like shapes. They're weird shapes and stuff like that.
Acronauts?
Yeah, I think so. I think that's what they're called.
Maybe.
Yeah, and also they're like the lawful ones, and then we have the Feywild, which is pretty chaotic.
Absolutely. I think that I think there should be pinnacles. I should put that in like an apex, if you will, of if there is going to be an evil guy, make him as evil as possible. If there's going to be a pinnacle of good, and I think this will eventually lead us into it, but make them as good as they possibly can.
Make them go all in, right?
Exactly. There should be pinnacles in the game because extremes also bring their own characters and their own storytelling elements to the game as a whole. I do think overall it's kind of interesting to have the pinnacles themselves be a part of your game because it goes into an old saying, I think everyone's probably heard it, is lawful good does not mean lawful nice.
Or lawful stupid.
Yes, exactly. So there's a lot of those things that even within the alignment itself, if you've chosen it, it doesn't mean that you're
not locked into
beholden.
A box, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah. We got Adam Generator in chat saying, I really like alignments, and I find it sad when DM bans evil characters. Evil doesn't mean that it should be disruptive or a murder hobo.
Yeah, I completely agree. And also, hello, Adam Generator. But I agree completely. I don't think, no matter what TTRPG you're playing, there's no way to break it. It is completely made up. You can have whatever rules you want, but just because your character swings for plus 65 does not mean that you have a dragon that has 150 armor class. There's nothing that you can always bump it up. So the fact that you could ban evil characters from your game, the only reason that I can see a DM doing that is maybe I would do that if I was playing with strangers. Because I don't want to have a possible conflict at the table with people I don't know and people that I can't talk to openly and how to resolve it. But overall, as far as a home game goes, especially with anybody that I play Edge of Legends with, evil characters all the way. Go for it. We all know you can talk about boundaries before game. You can talk about any triggers that anyone has around the table, which is important to having a healthy table discussion no matter what game you're playing. They should always be laid out.
Yeah.
You should always feel confident enough to talk to your DM about anything that that could be either triggering for you or anything that you want to avoid or anything another player is doing. The evil alignment shouldn't actually make any bad things happen in game.
I like to say that it's why session zeros are so important. You should decide the role of alignments in your game during those session zero games.
Yeah, I think that's a really good point, honestly, because if the alignments are nothing than a storytelling method, great, use them for that. You also have to be ready to open up all spells to change things. Instead of detect evil, it could be
detect
detect
intentions.
intent. Yes,
Yeah,
intent, maleficent, whatever you need to
yeah,
whatever maleficence, whatever you need to detect against you, hostile actions. Then you can do it. I think that alignments, for the most part, should be decided at game zero, like you said, and when they are. But a lot should be decided because
yeah.
honestly, it just keeps your players in the game.
Well, also another thing we do, kind of a peek behind the curtain of Edge of Legend, is we sometimes also talk after the game about certain things, certain issues. We have a group chat that us players with PJ, our GM, we discuss stuff like this. So keeping open lines of communication is extremely important.
Yeah, the further peek behind the curtain for most of that is us actually asking PJ how to spell the names of the people we ran across in the
Yeah,
game. But I sit there to
that
go,
I have a
right?
whole rant. I think you were part of that rant about my rant about the BS of fantasy names sometimes.
Yeah, totally. Sometimes, and it's like, and the thing is that PJ, the hardest part about it is that he's made these characters. They have fantastic names, no problem with them. I spell everything phonetically, and he's so in depth in his game that they have a different spelling system. So I just never would have put that letter there. So it's definitely this check of,
And the pronunciation
uh,
sometimes even.
yeah,
I
yeah,
still have trouble
it's
pronouncing Malingling Ligaruru.
it's
Ligalulu
yeah,
Ligar.
it's
Yeah.
it's I and here's the thing is I think it also brings up a great it's awesome that he's doing that as well.
Mhm.
For the fact that we all had people's names at one point or another be just stomped on by somebody else just
Yeah.
because, oh, well, I can't say that. Which is wrong because if
Mhm.
somebody just said it in front of you, it means you can form your mouth the same way they did.
Mhm.
There's no difference.
Yeah.
I just find it funny that a lot of the discussions that we have after the game are fun things we had a lot of fun with. Figuring out what the names or how they're spelt are. Figuring out, hey, when I talk to this person, do I need to remember them?
Yeah.
And things along those lines. But if anything were bigger to come up, I don't see it happening. But if it was to happen, I think that's important for any healthy game is not only session zeros, but also before and after just checking you with your players.
Yeah. Like really quickly, I just want to say, sometimes there's people who have trouble with my last name, and it's 3 letters. I get.
I
Yeah.
I'm totally with you. I've had every iteration of Ian said to me in a multitude of different
Mhm.
ways. Ion, Eon, Aeon. I've gotten
I've gotten
I,
mail say it was spelled with Michael Poa.
great. Yeah.
Like Poa. That's
Poa?
not even
Yeah.
anywhere close to Pow.
Which could also be someone's last name for all I know.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's the hardest part about it. So I
True.
feel you
True.
there. I think that overall it's though with things like this is checking in with your GM at any point during the
Hmm.
game or afterwards, or you should that open dialogue should be there no matter what.
Yeah. Really quick. Ooh, I have notes. I'm organized, but not. Uh, yeah. I kind of want to say, also, as long as you don't, like I said before, as long as you don't kind of lock yourself into kind of these, it's one of my pet peeves. As long as you don't lock yourself into those tropey roles, because role playing characters should be more flowy and flexible. As I said before, characters like people are complex and contradictory beings, and I really like your how you explain that alignments should you should also play your alignment kind of a step one step away from what you actually wrote down, if that makes any
Yeah,
sense.
I think you can. It's ooh, it's hard to thinking over all of it. If you want to say that every single alignment you can either at easiest you can kind of move like a rook
Mm-hmm.
on a chessboard
Mm.
is that you can go up and down that scale really easy or right or left on that scale very easy within your character without ever making any huge changes. If you look at it, lawful good then goes down to neutral good, and then you get down to, or sorry, I should have written this down beforehand, but I should have written down the chart. But
You know what? Draw a chart, and when we put this up on YouTube, I'll just put it here somewhere.
that's what I need to do. You know what? I'm actually going to pull the chart up on my computer right now to make sure that I'm referencing it correctly.
But I also want to say that for me, it's not really your alignment of lawful good, and that's more of a broad outline for me. For my take on things, it's your character's current needs and motivation that kind of describes your character best.
Yeah, definitely. And I definitely agree with that. And it kind of goes into what I was saying. I was just explaining it pretty bad because I didn't have this chart in front of me. I have, now that I have it in front of me, say you're playing a lawful good character. Step to the right is neutral good, and then after that is chaotic good. Underneath it is lawful neutral and lawful evil. If you're a lawful good character and you step down to lawful neutral, that means your character just doesn't like the situation they're in. They know there's no good outcome, but they're going to abide by the laws that they've grown up with. Lawful evil is just lawful good from the other perspective. No goblin has ever looked at a paladin with kind eyes. So if you look at lawful good and then to chaotic good, it's the same stretch. If you have lawful good as your origin and then you move on to neutral good, it means that you may have to bend the laws, but you're still sitting within the good of your heart. And past that is chaotic good, where you have to abandon your laws to do something that is going to save mankind or be the greater good in the world. And so I think sliding like that, right or left or up or down, is
a sliding scale.
Absolutely.
Yeah. For me, the way I like to best describe stuff like that is as long as your character can justify their actions within the scope of your character outline.
Yeah, absolutely. I think justifying your actions is the best way to put it, which also plays into your alignment within itself.
Yeah, like if you're playing a lawful good character, you wouldn't okay, you see that random peasant over there? I'm going to go stab him. Yeah, there's no justification for that.
Exactly, unless you also, here's the thing, lawful good's an interesting thing. Detect evil. I've seen this played. It was played at one of my tables. And I found it wholeheartedly fascinating. There was a paladin. They used detect evil. They found somebody that was most definitely evil, and they walked up and beheaded them in the street. The rest of the party said, "What are you doing?" And my friend played the character exactly how it was. By law, I am allowed to root out evil. That person was evil. So says my magic. Therefore, I have smote them. End of discussion.
All right. In that instance, say they didn't use detect alignment or anything. They just randomly went up to a person who was minding their own business, like eating an apple or something, and then just stabs them.
Yeah,
that is
exactly.
not justified, right?
No, not at all. No, and that's the thing is, unless you're playing a different character who's not lawful good.
True,
so
true.
It's what's justifiable, what alignment you have.
Yeah. Let's jump into chat. We got Adam Generator saying, "Yeah, I hate fantasy names." He also goes on to say, "Also, I want to say that it triggers me when DM plans out a political intrigue campaign but bans lawful evil."
Yeah, I think that was also that was a good point that I saw come up, is that it also depends on what government they're. It is a huge thing for lawful evil is usually brought up as lawyers. They'll argue the wrong side of something, but they'll use the law and manipulate it into getting the verdict that they see fit.
Stop describing Rufa.
Yeah, sorry. But it's things like that we have real world examples of these, even though some of them I think honestly the lawyer is, yes, at times fits. I feel I feel it's a little bit of a blanket statement,
Mhm.
but overall, I think you're onto something there. Is if you're going to have a political campaign, and depending on how many people are involved, you really can't ban an alignment for
Yeah.
that.
I kind of also want to say, oh God, I'm defending lawyers. Yeah.
This is what
Um,
happens. This is what
I
happens
just
in these
want to say,
discussions.
lawyers are not always lawful evil. Okay, don't lock lawyers all into the whole lawful evil trope. That's one of also my pet peeves because, example, that TV show Suits.
Yep,
Good
I'm with you.
example of not all lawyers are evil.
No, and that's honestly, it also fits really well into you saying that you should have tried to abandon those tropes that you have.
Mm-hmm.
Um, if you can abandon those tropes in alignment, is playing a lawyer who is literally just happy with trying to defend anybody who can. He makes his money some other. He or she or they make their money some other way. Pro bono cases all day, and they're just very,
Yeah.
very good at arguing.
Yeah.
Awesome character.
Like
Why not?
once again, I would like to use Rufa as an example. I see him not as an evil or good lawyer. He's more of a neutral lawyer. What he does is he uses his skills for the benefit of usually himself, but also a lot of times for the benefit of the party.
Yeah, and that's where the neutrals start to become interesting.
Mm-hmm.
The neutrals overall really start to blend a few concepts together. Is Woodward.
Mm-hmm.
He's true neutral. Well, that's at least what's written down on his sheet. He sees everything inside of a balance. The world has become balanced as it is now. As far as I can tell, when I've talked to PJ, no one is actively hunting the orcs down. The orcs are now working to hunt down the rest of everyone else to expand their place.
Mm-hmm.
He doesn't see that as a balance. Therefore, he's going to act against it. Right now, it just so happens to align with good. Now, if we did have a group of people going into the center of orcdom and attacking everything they see, or every child, woman, any person that they end up running across, he would most definitely turn against them. And it kind of gets summed up in, and I'm paraphrasing here, an amazing quote, again paraphrasing, which is, "You have no need to fear the good or evil man in the world, but the neutral, for you have no idea where he stands." And that's kind of how it feels with neutral. It's a lot of these things. Is with Rufa being lawful neutral, is he has the law on his side. He knows the law. He knows it very, very well.
He knows how to exploit the law.
Exactly. I would not be afraid of a lawful good lawyer. Lawful evil lawyer, I wouldn't be afraid of, because I know exactly what tricks they're going to use. A lawful neutral lawyer, it's kind of walking up and you're about to, I would say, play a game against another person, and you have no idea if they are a master at whatever game you're playing. If they are in some sort, if like you're up for soccer and you have no idea if that guy on the other side of the field is a FIFA Cup winner. It's like any of those things. You have no idea.
It's a lot of blank variables.
Yes, that's what neutral can accomplish with those.
Let's see, in chat, we got Pengu-chan saying, every time I'm asked my full name, I automatically spell my last name. It's ingrained in me.
Yeah. My last name has too many letters that are alike, that sound alike on the phone, so I always have to spell it out, and I always get it repeated back to me incorrectly.
Adam Generator goes on to say, where it's kind of campaigns where they more fits in. Also, alignment is no excuse to screw over the party. Yeah.
Absolutely.
I definitely agree with that.
Unless, because there's always a difference, or there's always a outlier, unless that alignment gives you the opportunity to tell a portion of the story that the rest of the table is okay with.
Mm-hmm.
Having a character at one point be brought into the evil side of things just because they can kind of understand where the other person's coming from, very cool. I would have to say that my alignment has most definitely put the party of Edge of Legend in jeopardy. I have looked at the choices that other people have made. I have seen that they have decided to do one thing or another that either Woodward doesn't agree with, or he sees the balance being interrupted, so he simply doesn't participate. That's not good for the party. Him taking the chance at shooting the guy inside of Fort Raggedy, not good for the party. We had a clean getaway.
Yeah. It was kind of a, from my side of things, that was a WTF moment.
Yeah, and I'm totally with you on that. I had the fun of giving that moment, but also knowing Woodward would run over and heal that guy.
Yeah, like
A lesson served.
The action and the reaction within Woodward's morality or character outline made sense. Like, if another character did something like that, like Alona. If Alona did something like this, that would honestly be a big head scratcher.
Yeah, I think for me, when I made that choice for Woodward, it was also the idea that if he would have hit that guy and did minimal amount of damage, he probably would have left.
Yeah.
But the fate of the dice, Woodward took the shot, hit the guy, and then realized, I've made a terrible mistake. I have upset my own balance in life. I need to go fix this. And so it's kind of playing. That's how I played true neutral in that aspect.
We got Adam Generous going on saying, and having different alignments in the party. For example, one evil character in a party of 5 good characters can be really fun, roleplay wise, to have a point of view. And goes on to say, yeah, there's always no excuse on that. No screw over the party. If it's still fun to the party and makes a better story.
Exactly.
My take on that kind of is, do not use your alignment as an excuse.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that really hits it there, is saying, well, I've already told you that I'm a chaotic evil.
Mm-hmm.
Why are you expecting me to do this? Because, well, evil is chaotic evil is such an interesting thing. Chaotic anything is interesting because
honestly, evil is super complex as well.
Yeah, every single part of this system, or the alignments really are. I think that using there is no point in any alignment where somebody wouldn't see reason. An alignment doesn't blank your mind, doesn't blank the character's mind to seeing reason or seeing the other side of something if they are properly told or properly spoken to about it. What it does do is it may actually cut them out of some plots. If you have a lawful, interestingly enough, it goes back to my friend who played that paladin who was lawful good. He had one of my favorite. The rest of the party was ready to go steal something, and they all looked to the paladin, and he said, "Let's do it." There's like, how are you? And he goes, "Well, I'm lawful, but my laws for the country that I serve don't apply here. Therefore, I can do whatever I want." And then he ran off and helped the party steal something. So
there you go.
You don't use it as an excuse, but also don't let it limit yourself if you can find a way around it.
Yeah. Adam Generate goes on to say, but I was referring to, I'm the chaotic neutral rogue. I can do anything. And I'm the lawful good paladin. You can't have fun mentalities.
Yeah, and that's exactly the lawful good is taken to such an extreme, into the fact that I can still be well within the law of the U.S. that I am in now, being belligerently drunk inside my own home. I can have a lot of fun with other friends. We can all be drinking inside of your own home. There's also things of like that doesn't mean I can't have fun. I am following the law, and I'm not doing anything bad. Therefore, I am good.
You're being lawful good there.
Exactly. You're being lawful good. That doesn't mean anything have to do with you can't have fun.
You know what? Let's just jump in right into each of these alignments. We've been kind of tiptoeing for the last about 40 minutes or so.
Yeah.
Let's just actually just jump into it one by one. This episode, we're going to go through lawful good, neutral good, chaotic good, lawful neutral, and true neutral. And next episode, that's when we're going to get into the what I feel is the really fun stuff.
Yeah, we have. Although we didn't really label it this, we have gone through these and called them because it is December, the naughty or nice.
Yeah.
We're covering nice first. Naughty will be on the next episode of At the Table.
Really quick. Adam January says, evil is really complex, and then says, but hard to play it well for stereotypes made in media. Definitely agree there. But also, media is one of those things where they kind of have to dumb it down so a wider audience can kind of understand it.
Yeah, absolutely. That's the thing is, that's one of the things that, to just a small tangent, is getting into like the Greek plays. That's what makes them so fascinating. As soon as you have somebody walk out, you go, that's the bad guy. That's exactly what you want. It's just like any of the Marvel movies. That's the bad guy. How can you tell? Well, he's only in black.
Yeah. Or classic westerns. Literally white hat and black hat.
Absolutely. Perfect example. And those can be a lot of fun. Honestly, introducing your version, your campaign or whatever your world is version of Sauron, and having them walk out with the metal spikes all over and the giant mace, and it came on the
and heavy metal blasting in the background.
Yeah, exactly. The Witch King having the giant mace and coming in on the fell beast dragon and just rending foes in front of them. It's awesome. Your entire party will immediately go, that's the guy. That's the one we got to get. There's no problem with that. You can play with those tropes and have them be unifying moments as well, but it is harder to play some of those characters, and even Lawful Good, for how they're portrayed in our common media.
Yeah. Reap Psyche said, did someone say belligerent drunk in my own home? That was
I absolutely did.
Adam Jenner goes to say his favorite alignment is lawful evil, and he also often uses Deltia from Final Fantasy Tactics, War of the Lions, as a really good example of a well-done lawful evil character.
I end up using... I played the game with a friend of mine, and now I am...
blanking on the names. I get that.
The main paladin from Warcraft all the way through Frozen Throne. That guy.
It starts with the A. I know it starts with the A.
Yep.
I know who you're talking about. In chat,
anyway,
let us know.
Yeah, I'm sure Pangu will be able to jump in on that one.
But yeah, like I said, we're going to go right into each of these the nice list.
So let's start with Lawful Good then?
Yeah, Lawful Good.
Great.
First off, I want to say about what I want to talk about Lawful Good. Usually, you kind of associate Lawful Good with characters such as champions and paladins. Am I right?
Yeah, and I think that's actually part of... okay, great. We did get the answer. Pengu, do not worry about it. I just know you're a huge Warcraft fan. So we were talking about Arthas, the paladin in the original Warcraft and through to Frozen Thrones, as a very good lawful evil character at a certain point. But we can't get into his entire story because it's way too epic to try to get into this.
We have a time limit to this episode.
Yeah. Lawful Good. It is definitely used primarily to show us paladins, clerics, and those of the sort. Fighters, very common. I think it is just as bad as saying that all lawyers are evil, in the fact that while it does bring its own stereotype of what comes into it, there's nothing stopping you from playing a lawful good rogue.
Yeah.
Now,
I've seen lawful good bards being very well played.
Yeah, And I also look at it as like, when everyone plays a rogue, they immediately assume that they're going to be the one in charge of stealing things.
Mm-hmm.
I've seen fighters. I've seen fighters in plate mail roll 20s on stealth checks.
Yeah.
Anybody can steal any. Alona stole a bunch of stuff off the top of a shrine in the last orc village we were in, or the orc hold that we were in.
The orc occupation.
Yeah, anybody can do it.
Yeah.
Rogues at their core are just really good at taking out that one guy over there without being seen.
I also want to say, you could be a good example of a lawful good rogue is actually a rogue catcher, a thief catcher, if you will. Someone who specializes in hunting down and capturing rogues.
Totally. A lawful good rogue to play one could also be a personal investigator.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, a detective.
No reason they can't be a detective or a PI. They've got the stealth, they've got the sleuthing, they've got all the decks in the world that they can get across the rooftops and get to the places they can see.
A special agent like James Bond.
Absolutely.
Oh, I think actually James Bond is actually a good example of what a kind of a rogue on the side of good could be.
You worded that just correctly.
Yeah, I know. I had a pause. I was like,
Reap Psyche, you are completely correct. I love this in chat. Reappropriated enemy supplies.
Yeah.
I have always called every rogue I have played an acquisition specialist.
Mm-hmm.
It is my funny way of saying I did not steal this. I'm an acquisition specialist.
Or you borrowed something.
Yes, I think
without the intent to return.
Yeah, James Bond is actually an interesting thing to bring up. Only because we do know in the James Bond lore that whatever Bond there is and will ever be, they do have a license to kill.
Mm-hmm.
And it's specific that they have that, which is also means they are operating with the law that they have been set before them, even though that law says you can kind of do whatever you need to get this thing done.
Mm-hmm. I think the better way to explain it is MI6 organization as a whole is considered lawful good.
I can see that. Yeah, definitely.
Just the agents that operate within that organization might not completely share the tenets of that organization, which something I want to say, oath and tenets, I feel is great in the current TTRPG sphere, because that kind of gives you an option to play a champion or a paladin or a lawful good character without having to be lawful stupid.
Yeah, and I think, honestly, anybody who ends up feeling that they get stuck in something of being lawful good and not having fun going out drinking with the rest of your party or whatever, or getting into the heist mentality or whatever you need to do, you're only limiting yourself.
Yeah.
No one is telling you, unless your table is, and then if they are, walk away.
Mm-hmm. Would you also say that it's your character's interpretation of the law themselves that is a believable, a good excuse to justify their actions?
Absolutely. Interpretation is everything of the alignment system, and that's why it's so interesting to talk about.
Mm-hmm.
And we can use James Bond as an example. The Bond character has a license to kill. That doesn't mean they want to. Those are two very different things.
Mm-hmm. Just
because the law says you are allowed to do something does not mean it has stripped you of your free will to do otherwise. Using the law as a crutch for your character can be very easy to do and also hurt your own play in a lot of different ways. I think that the alignment system is not actually a gauge on your character's morality. Those are two very different things.
It's an outline. It's an example.
Yes, absolutely. So, yeah, going back to that lawful good aspect of it is you can play a lawful good character, and still lay waste to entire hordes of the enemy.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if I could call that a good action. if that makes any sense.
Yeah.
You've taken life. That's hard to deal with.
It
But
could be interpreted as at least a lawful action, maybe.
absolutely. And then your character has the ability to do so. So
Yeah.
interpretation is
It's
literally
it's what
everything
you
with
said
people like
before. One step away, one step back,
absolutely.
or one step forward from your chart.
Yeah. So up or down one step or right or left one step. If you move like a rook on a board, I feel like you can get your character really nailed in.
Yeah. Reap Psyche said, I really like the idea of a rogue that always returns the things they steal. Eventually.
A great version of that. And it's the best intentions. You know what? This will be a great version or a great person to bring up during Chaotic Good, so I'm going to save it.
Mm-hmm.
But
We
I
also
do have
Adam,
somebody in mind for that.
We have Adam Jenner says, I see the lawful thing as not literally following the law of a place. It's more of following your own principles and what you believe in. It's a guide on what you could act guide, but you can ignore it.
So the lawful part is very interesting because if lawful could be your own creed, there is the law, what is it? The honor among thieves
Yeah.
kind of mentality of it. So your creed or your tenets or anything like that is what you abide by lawfully.
Yeah, I feel that's more when you get to the neutral point, so I'll save that later on.
Totally.
Right now, what will you let's throw some examples of some actions that a lawful good character would probably do. For me, it would be allowing their disarmed enemy to pick up their weapon to continue the fight. A fair fight. That would be an example of what a lawful good character might do.
Yeah. That's definitely something that I think that's well within the realms. It's definitely a great RP moment. Especially when the rest of the party is going, "What are you doing?" But I think something that a lawful good character would do is I would go so far, and to just give an extreme example, is stealing something, but in the way of commandeering it, as in, I need to use this cart right now, and pulling out the badge to say that you can, or I need whatever weapon you can hand me inside your house because I need to go fight this evil. You're following the lawful side of things because you have the power to do so, but you're also following the good nit because you're not just taking it without any actions. You're trying to explain to the person why you need to do so.
Another one would be perhaps saving the life of another at great risk to yourself.
Yeah, that's a classic example. I think that's definitely within the lawful good vein.
That's your usual white knight type of action.
Yeah, but it also should be said that it doesn't mean that any other alignment isn't capable of doing the same act.
Also, here's some examples of what we think that lawful good characters are in media to kind of give you a better idea of what they are. For me, it would be Captain America, Ezra Scarlet from Fairy Tail, and Superman.
Yeah, I can definitely see all of that. If I had to give examples, they would be Spock from Star Trek. I think that he, although is trying to be neutral, it's the fact that he has that human side to him that makes him good, and that he's been fostered in a place that made him good. Sturm Brightblade from the Dragonlance Chronicles. He is lawful good to a fault, even when it ultimately can hurt the party.
And in chat, we got Reap Psyche that says, that's tough, because even if you believe in behaving chaotically and sowing chaos, that makes you lawful because you're now following your credo. And then, yeah. And then, sorry, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
I was going to read, Adam Jenner also posted, I just remembered my favorite Pathfinder 1E art piece. It was the iconic Paladin angry looking at a crossroads sign that says, Burning Orphanage and Anti-Paladin's Castle. And the Anti-Paladin is behind the sign.
Yeah. it's definitely what is the greater good? What am I trying to achieve mentality to that. I think Reef Psyche did bring up a good point. That's why creeds and tenets are so hard.
Mm-hmm.
And it's also, I feel that the lawful part of it usually doesn't come from creeds or tenets. I think it actually does follow, or it's not a set of tenets that you set yourself. There's a greater organization or a greater good that has given you these tenets to follow, which makes you lawful good. Everything else is just you acting inside of your morality.
Let's move on to neutral good.
Neutral good.
Yeah.
Okay.
What are your feelings on neutral good, Ian?
Neutral good is, I personally feel, one of the most overlooked alignments. Because people don't know how to approach it. Neutral evil is easy. That means if something bad is happening in front of you, you take a step back and you let it happen because it doesn't technically affect you. Neutral good can be seen in a couple different ways. I have played neutral good characters in the way that there may be, let's take that anti-paladin and the burning orphanage sign as an example from Adam Generator. A neutral good character is there to do a mission. They have been sent to kill that anti-paladin. That sign may say burning orphanage. Good could be done there, but that's not the good that they have been sent to do. And that's one of the reasons I like playing them so much, is you can follow this path and this single-mindedness, which can make a character very interesting and usually act within their faults or have to deal with their faults later. You have this straight path. You can have this straight path character, or on the other side of things, you can have a character who is neutral in the way that they approach everybody in life, unless there is good to be done for that person. If there is a bar fight happening, they can just let it go.
Yeah. Ian, like, would you say, like, I just thought of something. Have you ever seen the movie, the new one, the reboot, The Equalizer with Denzel Washington?
I have not. I should also let you guys know that I am horrible at watching movies. I'm not good at it. I never get around to seeing anything.
Well, I was gonna say that character, I think, with your single-mindedness example, reminds me of Denzel Washington's character, basically.
Yeah. I don't think it fits the character per se. The neutral good part. I would not bring them up as my example, but the single-mindedness of Batman is a great way to say it. He's doing good. He's going to fix it. It is.
Wait. What about Nightwing? Would Nightwing better fit that mode?
Ooh. You know what? Nightwing's actually a pretty good example. Yeah, I could give it to Nightwing. I could definitely give it to Nightwing. In the fact that Nightwing is usually seen as someone who they are looking at stopping organized crime. If somebody is about to steal the purse, it's not big enough for them to deal with. And then there's Lawful Good.
I want to really quickly jump in and say it's a good example where it's because also Nightwing used to be Robin, Batman's conscience.
Absolutely. So I think that's actually a pretty good example.
It's also that one step, I think, right?
Yeah. The one step in every direction. I love that when they introduce that, and they talk about it in Pathfinder a lot, is being within one step of your deity as a cleric or a paladin. If you are on that train, I use it as a general rule of thumb for any of your characters that you end up playing, is one step within your alignment is totally fine.
What would be an example that a lawful good character would do, a lawful good adventurer would do for you, Ian?
Oh, the neutral good?
Neutral good.
Great, cool. No problem. I think honestly, I probably have to jump in with the same example that I ended up using from Adam Generator. Ignoring the possibility of ignoring the small evil that's happening in front of them, so ignoring the purse being stolen to take out the larger paladin, while the thing that's happening to that person, their gold is being taken off their belt by Shionibus, and you and you have to make the choice to look the other direction because the thing that's happening down the way is much more for the greater good than Shionibus coming away with more money.
True. For me, I want to say that maybe taking prisoners would be kind of a neutral good action.
Yeah, I think that's actually that's a really interesting example, is taking prisoners. Also, maybe in the fact that you've done the good by locking them away, but you never check in to figure out what happens.
Yeah. Also, I want to say that taking prisoners in a sense where, yeah, it would be easy to just, kill them where they stand, but as you said before, perhaps you've been hired to take these characters out, and then you find out that, hey, there's really no point in killing all of them. Some of them are just people, are like regular people just doing their jobs, or they're in certain circumstances,
Okay.
like
yeah.
like impoverished, like the poor doing evil because evil's paying them,
or possibly doing what could be seen as unlawful acts to get by. You don't pay any attention to that. Not a problem.
So in that case, you know what? I'm not going to kill that NPC there. He's just trying to put food on his family's table, but he did break the law, so throw him in prison instead for a while or something.
Yeah, absolutely. I can totally see that.
My examples for neutral good characters would be Wonder Woman, because she would, honestly, while she's a good character, she would bend the rules to do good.
Okay. Okay.
Also, Spider-Man. I think Spider-Man's a good example of a neutral good character, especially with his Peter Parker persona.
Okay.
And if we're going back to Star Trek, Captain Kirk.
Yeah, and that's the thing, is that everybody, that if they're within one step of what I think they are, I usually end up giving it to people because it's just a matter of perspectives. I personally would leave Captain Kirk for chaotic good. Only for the just due to his possibility of going about a situation in what everyone else would deem the completely wrong way, but it has the good outcome.
Go ahead.
Go ahead.
I was going to say, Adam Generator posted, for the goal justifies the means, thinking about the Redeemer champion, neutral good, is the one who can most likely forgive someone for doing something wrong.
Yeah, the Redeemer is actually a really good point in that. A
neutral good, that would be a neutral good champion.
Yeah, that could definitely be a neutral good trait as well.
Yeah.
Is seeing the good in someone, though they have done things that may be looked down upon by certain members of society.
Bending the rules.
Exactly.
What about you? What would be some examples of neutral good characters you would say?
I actually think I lined this one up pretty well, and I don't like to jump into fandoms too often that I'm not super familiar with, because I have a feeling that this could be argued against me. But I'm going to have to throw out Han Solo as a neutral good. Most of the time, he's just kind of keeping out of it. He's not really doing anything bad. The stuff that he's smuggling isn't horrible things as far as I know. And in the same realm, I'm also going to throw Malcolm Reynolds on there from Firefly. Neutral good, in the fact that the things that are going on around them, I guess the smuggler is actually a pretty good neutral good, as a neutral good kind of pinnacle.
I kind of want to say I'm kind of on those two characters, kind of for the same reasons for Captain Kirk. I feel those are better examples of chaotic good characters, because they're also kind of looking out for their own best interest. I mean, they'll do good, when kind of pushed and prodded, or they get that nagging, voice in the back of their heads. But
Yeah,
essentially, they're kind of, I'm doing this to survive,
I
man.
yeah, I think for the most part, I think the hardest part to say is that with those two characters, they were at just like every other story, entering the hero's journey. They are thrust into places that they do not fully understand nor are used to.
Yeah,
Therefore, they're acting within the good of the greater good rather than just themselves.
yeah,
But the neutral good is definitely somebody who would ask
yeah,
the question, "What is in it for me?"
yeah. We got PJ, speak of the devil,
Woo!
saying, I can see Captain Kirk as chaotic good. He does serve the law, but he does it so by breaking it.
Yeah, that's
Uh-huh.
that's the thing is that much like the conversation of stepping within one alignment,
Hmm.
um,
And we also have Pengu Chan saying, yes, did Mao. And Adam Jenner is saying, Chewbacca
yeah,
is
Chewbacca.
neutral good, and Han Solo is chaotic good. I actually, you know what? Yes, I like that. I do like that.
Um, I've always seen I've always seen Chewbacca personally as personally true neutral. Again, I'm not a huge I don't have enough examples except what I've seen in the movies.
Hmm.
And the fact that he usually has to be convinced, but he kind of goes along with the person that's done him good all
I
along.
mean, the reason why he's defers to Han Solo usually is because of said life debt,
Yeah,
which is
exactly.
a lawful,
Which is yeah.
yeah.
Um,
But
but then it,
yeah. Speaking of chaotic good, let's now just jump into chaotic good. What's your
okay.
thoughts on chaotic good, Ian?
Uh, Chaotic good is a lot of fun. The way that I like to define it, and I think this has been seen in multiple medias before, is that I'm going to save I'm going to save that person because they're the last of their line, so they shouldn't die, and I don't care how many people I have to kill to do it. um, it's the chaotic good of like you have no idea who else you've ended, but you're willing to take those steps just to do good. I personally think that I that not manipulating the rules, breaking the rules to achieve a better outcome. Uh, Funnily enough, kind of the moment I'm rewatching all of the movies right now. The moment that Bilbo tricks Golem into letting him have the ring,
Mm.
he breaks the rules. It's not actually a riddle. What's in my pocket? It doesn't actually fit into the rules. Golem even calls him out on it. But Golem then said, specifically, ask me a question. So he did. Therefore, Golem opened up the floor to his rules. That is a perfectly chaotic good example for me.
That's a chaotic good lawyer situation.
Yeah, exactly. Is ask me a question. Go on, do it. I'll save my Golem impression for another night. But and he immediately turns around and says, "What's in my pocket?"
Yeah.
Chaotic good.
We got Adam Jenner saying, or I'll save that person because he's trying to save that other person. Or because trying to save that other person will get me killed.
Yeah, that's that's the chaotic good is. I think that's a good point of saying we're going to go do this thing. Oh wait, hold on. No one said my life was going to be on the line. I'll help,
But what's in
but
it for
that's a
me?
lot to that's a lot to ask.
Uh-huh.
Kind of thing.
Yeah, I want to say examples of actions that would be considered chaotic good would be perhaps gloating over a victory.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, like adding insult to injury, like over a downed opponent.
Yeah. I can. That's definitely you've won. There's no reason to go. Yeah, I can see that.
Yeah, kind of like a. Well, have you seen A Knight's Tale?
I have seen that one.
Remember? Okay, slight spoiler territory, guys.
It's been out
So
for a
if you
while.
haven't seen the movie,
Mute us.
it's been a while. I think we can
Yeah,
talk about spoilers with that movie. Remember at
absolutely.
the end where all the main characters stood over the bad guy goes, "You've been measured and you have been found wanting."
Yes, exactly.
That's a chaotic good
Definitely
action, I
that situation.
think.
Yeah. Um, I think that putting on a persona that may make others think that you are not there for good to then achieve that good. In the fact that you could put on a persona of being one of the evil characters and playing along and maybe even doing something that isn't all that great. But in the long run, even though you helped them steal that item, your entire plan was to steal it back from them all along, preventing them from ever getting it in the first place.
The long con, like Ocean's 11
Yeah.
type of like
Yeah,
heist
totally.
situations, right?
Totally. What was that? There was a show. Was it called Grift or The Grift or something like that?
Maybe.
There's a TV show about con men,
Hmm.
and maybe I'm totally butchering it, but there's a TV show about the con men who purposely started doing things for good. When people got blackmailed, they would start blackmailing the blackmailer to then get them off the case of the person who never deserved it in the first place. Very chaotic good.
There's a manga about that exact same situation that I'm blanking on.
Nice.
That the American situation is, I think, the white crane or something. Basically, a white bird that eats the black bird.
Totally.
Another good example would be a white hat hacker.
Yeah, definitely could be seen as chaotic good. Chaotic good is perfect for the rogue.
Yeah.
Especially if you, again, yeah, we could go ask that king for it because we kind of need the thing behind them. You know what? I could take it and we could avoid ever getting into the country because we need it for better purposes than what they're using it for.
I mean, or it's another fantasy trope, helping someone for monetary gain.
Yeah, definitely. That can definitely be seen as a chaotic good.
My examples of characters that would represent chaotic good would be the OG himself, Robin Hood.
No argument there.
Yeah, Robin Hood. Perhaps Michelangelo from Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles.
Okay.
And Buffy the Vampire Slayer.
Buffy for me is so entrenched in the stereotype of the reluctant hero.
Oh.
Well, I see the reluctant hero so much in Buffy. I don't want to do this. Man, I don't want to deal with this. Do I really have to? There's so much of the reluctant hero that I have a hard time looking over an alignment for her. Although I am planning on rewatching the entire series because my significant other has never seen it. So I will have to come back with an alignment choice on that one. They change season per season.
I would also suggest maybe skipping some of the parts when she's in college.
Yeah, definitely. There's going to be a few parts where it's like, hey, can I just read you the synopsis of this episode?
Yeah. But what about for you? What are some examples of chaotic good characters?
I was going to mention it. I see it's really interesting. We actually have an argument going on in here. Adam Generator says Batman. Reap Psyche says he's lawful. I would actually say chaotic good, Red Hood. If I'm going to bring up anybody from that franchise, Red Hood. Uses pistols, owns a gang, but uses the gang to take down bigger gangs that are bigger problems. There's so much, not afraid to kill.
I would
say, for the greater good.
I would agree a little bit on Red Hood in certain situations, but overall, Tim Drake Robin.
Okay.
The hacker Robin is also the Robin the only Robin who actually found out that Batman was Bruce Wayne.
Yeah. Who are my other examples? Ooh, my two favorite chaotic good characters, Dread Pirate Roberts and Inigo Montoya. They're in the same movie, and that's the reason that they work so well together. Is they're both chaotic good. My personal feeling.
I just thought of it. I think Jason Todd was also another Robin who actually, I kind of want to say figured out Batman was Robin, but that's getting into semantics, and this is not a Batman episode.
Yeah, not. If I could come up with a third one, let me see. Let's run down the DC line. The Flash. I would say
Which
that
Flash? Which Flash though?
specifically Wally West. I was going to say
Yes, that's
specifically
what I
Wally
was gonna
West.
say.
Yes, is chaotic good. Um,
Because
uh,
Barry is more, I think, either probably more neutral good or lawful neutral.
I think I think Barry. I think
I
it
mean,
depends on
Barry's a
which
cop.
Barry.
Barry's kind of he's a forensic expert.
Yes, I say lawful good for Barry.
Mm.
Personally, because there's a lot of lines he won't step on, and that's one of his
Mm.
biggest reasons for arguing with Batman so often. Um, uh, he's at one point called Batman calls Barry inefficient because he dismantled the guy's gun instead of just punching him in the face, and he simply replies, "If you're as fast as me, inefficient is still more efficient than you," which is one of my
True.
favorite comebacks from him.
Uh-huh.
But those are probably or chaotic good characters.
All right. Now let's move on to lawful neutral.
Lawful neutral.
Yeah, we
Okay.
got. I think, in a certain extent, kind of on the scale of lawful neutral, both Rufa and Woodward operates on that plane of existence. There.
Yeah. I think you're right on that one. Lawful neutral is interesting because you can play it in a few different ways, and it depends on your interpretation of law. If you want to play the character of going into a new land and you respect the laws of this new land, because therefore you were acting within the laws, but you're not going to go do anything outside of what could possibly help you. It is the lawful neutral is also an interesting factor of having the like that character is going to kill that person. Ooh, it is unlawful for me to kill that person, even though they are going to hurt the other person or kill them eventually. Therefore, I cannot act in this situation. I feel that a lot of lawful neutral characters use the law as a hiding place rather than manipulating it.
I kind of want to say it's a good example. A good example of the two different types of lawful neutral of Woodward and Rufa is Woodward is nature's law, while Rufa is more man's law.
Yeah, I can definitely see that. I think that's actually a really good way to put it. Woodward as a whole for his lawful tenets is the balance in everything.
The balance of nature, the balance of animals, and the land.
Exactly. The land as a whole. One of the big reasons he doesn't like cities is because they don't have the balance of agriculture needed to actually support their own existence. Therefore, they just take in small townships and work them to the bone to feed the people who are apparently helping them. I'm not sure. That is one of his problems with a lot of those things.
And on Rufa's side of things, he sees the law more as man's law as a way to manipulate it for his own gain.
I am stealing Adam. Oh man, okay. We have two very good characters that were brought up for lawful neutral.
Oh yeah, I see that too.
Yeah, that would definitely be brought up because I think
actually,
both of those.
One of them was going to be my example of
okay.
lawful.
Nail in the coffin on that one. Both of you, Adam Generator and PJ. You guys are right on the mark with those characters.
What would you say would be a lawful neutral action that a adventurer would do?
Say they've been made a town guard, arresting the person stealing food, even though they don't have the money to be able to buy it themselves. They are acting outside of the law. It's to a certain extent, I think it is throwing away portions of your morality and how you feel to execute the law to the fullest of its ability.
The law of the community.
Yes.
I agree with you there. It would be kind of authority would be first and foremost in that situation.
Yeah, I think. You know what? Here's a good thing that I'm not entirely sure I had this thought beforehand. Most people who play lawfully good characters are playing a lawful neutral character. Or most of the stereotypes that surround a lawful good character are actually from the lawful neutral standpoint. Stick in the mud. I don't have any say on this, but I know that it's within law, therefore I will not act. It is definitely android robotic look at things.
And also, as you said before, Woodward kind of operates with his own code of conduct, his own code,
Yeah.
personal code, right?
Yeah, he does.
I would say lawful neutral characters would usually be the ones who have a kind of a strict code of conduct that they follow almost to the letters in a certain way, but they can also manipulate it.
Yeah, I like to. I was just
Kind
about
of
to
like a
bring up
lawyer situation.
I was going to bring up a character name,
Uh-huh.
but I think I'm going to save it for the character
Okay.
to put them on. But yeah, I think overall, man, now I have too many examples of it is. It is definitely being observing whatever you're observing and being analytical about its observance and your understanding of it.
Would you say like a role such like a judge or maybe even a district attorney would be a good example of a lawful neutral type job?
I would put money that Justicar Ford
Mm.
that we ran into in the middle of it was not Maysoon, Adolfon Prime.
Mm-hmm.
That guy who I made the argument of that it wasn't my support badger, I was the badger support gnome. He still let me fill out all the paperwork. I put money on that guy being lawful neutral.
I'm also still laughing at the fact that Rufa, from him, he got a one free crime coupon. Like that's ooh.
Yeah, that's
ooh.
ridiculous. It's beautifully ridiculous, but ridiculous nonetheless.
Mm-hmm. Well, my examples of 3 good lawful neutral characters would be one of them has already been suggested, Judge Dredd.
I figured you were going to go down the Dredd route. I wholeheartedly agree.
Mm-hmm. He will exact law to the full extent. It's very black and white for him. You do something bad, he's going to take you in. You resist, he's going to cut you down.
That's what makes those characters so terrifying. And I do have to say, I stand by it. It is scarier than having an evil character. An evil character, you're expecting something like this from them. An evil character may even look the other way if you do something bad. If you do something good, they don't actually care. If you do something bad, they'll probably look the other way. Neutral, when they see you do that thing, there's no pleading. Sir, this food is for my family. Has no relation inside of this. Yeah, exactly. It's scary. Yeah. Really scary.
My second one would be if you're not watching this, you should really watch it. The Mandalorian.
I called it. Yes. The Mandalorian. Okay.
As a bounty hunter, his job is a very he's gonna take that job. He's gonna fulfill it to the what's the word? The orders he's given, like whether he will take them in cold or warm, and also to the extent where he also does follow. He has a very, very strict code of honor, a strict code of conduct where it has to take a lot for him to take off his helmet, and the fact that this is the way. I feel this is the way.
I will agree with you on that, and the only reason that makes the Mandalorian interesting as a character is the fact that he's sliding on the scale of alignments. It would be boring otherwise. That's why Dredd is a movie. That's like, because in the visual art of comic books, you can run with ideas like that and stretch them out a lot longer.
Yeah.
If he just was, honestly, you know what's a really good example of neutral good is a lot of the comic relief characters who are seen as straight men. Because they don't quite understand what's going on. They just abide by the laws inside of their own mind.
Like you said before, that sliding scale, that one move up, one move down. The Mandalorian, he's a lawful neutral character that does neutral good things.
Yeah, and I would also move into being lawful good in the fact that, he operates mostly in lawful good, in the fact that it's hard to say because I actually don't know enough about his other bounties he's brought in. I would like to see the portfolio of people and what he's done to those individuals before I actually make that assessment. Because if there's somebody who is just a job, then he'd go over there and kill the thing, right? But then again, you have the child, and he's like, I probably shouldn't kill that.
Yeah. Adam generally goes on to say, the same with a mercenary. They can be lawful neutral. They will follow the contract even if they die doing so.
Yeah, I can see that. I also would like to point it out just because I will take any victory I can get my hands on. PJ did say that I was right. Justicar Ford was lawful neutral.
My third example would be Makoto Kusanagi from the Ghost in the Shell series. Good example of a lawful neutral character, considering her role as a law enforcement agent, and also sometimes she does some iffy things to complete her mission.
Crap.
But she also does those iffy things in the realm of the law.
Yeah,
usually. And what about you, Ian? What are some of your examples you would say?
I am gonna throw this character out there because we're going down the anime train. Rei Ayanami from Evangelion. I would definitely put this lawful neutral. But to go further down that way, again, I've never actually been a fan of the comic book franchise, but it's the first thing that popped in my head when I thought of lawful neutral. Whoever the person was that the Sorcerer Supreme, who Doctor Strange spoke to, who was originally holding the Eye of Agamemnon. Agamemnon. Am I saying that right?
The Ancient One?
Are they just going by the Ancient One? Is that why I can't think of an actual name?
Yeah, I think so. Are you talking about Tilda Swanson's character?
Yeah. Totally.
The Ancient One.
The Ancient One. I would definitely put that up there. That is one of my options.
I also kind of want to say Wong from Doctor Strange as well would be a lawful neutral character.
Okay, I don't know. Oh man, now that I'm going down the Marvel train, how did we not bring up Chaotic Good as Drax?
Yeah.
Why did we not bring up Drax?
Because he was standing so still, we couldn't see him.
Lawful neutral though. If we're gonna run down that line, Mantis. Mantis is probably lawful neutral, and it could come from the understanding or the fact that she doesn't have enough of a grasp of what's going on around her, besides what her powers entail. But I definitely run with that.
If we're going down the Marvel MCU universe, I would say it would also be actually Tony Stark, but Tony Stark in the Civil War movie.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
If you're gonna call it a specific movie, sure.
Yeah, he in that movie, in that instance, he's lawful neutral.
Yeah. It could also be said in the Civil War comic book series. The good reaction is Thor in the comic book series. He doesn't get involved. He's like, that's not that whole thing happening there. Nope. I'm going to play neutral on this. I'm going to act within the laws of my place. Asgard, I understand. That's not inherently evil, but it's also not inherently good. And I'm just going to leave it there.
Yeah, it doesn't deal with me or my people. So
exactly.
Later, guys.
Black Panther's father.
Yeah.
The entire thing of Wakanda being hidden. It doesn't have to do with me or my people, and just assuming. Sometimes it can be assuming the worst in people. That alignment can bring.
All right. Let's now move on to the balance. Was it?
Sorry, I see that neutral. I saw that the chat has paused, and so I'm wondering if like everyone's like these guys got it entirely wrong, and if so, I really want to hear what other people have to say, because it's super fascinating. If all the characters I said were wrong, it would be great.
I think
I want to hear their side of things.
you're right when you're explaining your side of things, I think.
Yeah, of course, right? And again, it's all about perspective.
But let's move on to true neutral,
Okay.
because that is the balance. That's a lot of people call that's a blank. That's a
Hmm.
blank page.
And I think true neutral is an interesting thing because I try to play it with Woodwort in that I think I try to play it with Woodwort in the fact that he is not afraid to do good things and he's also not afraid to do bad things, what would be considered evil, as long as there's a balance to it, and overall his actions are helping to keep that balance.
Mm.
He doesn't care where the morality scale is of doing a good thing or a bad thing. I mean, honestly, I thought it would have been really fascinating. We just found, the previous episode, we found that kid Joey. Young boy. He's got that mark on his forehead. We don't know what that means. If it turned out to be something super evil, Woodward would have no problem abandoning him.
Mm-hmm.
Or turning him to somebody, or turning him over to somebody who could possibly at least neutralize the evil within him, whatever that may be.
I kind of want to say kind of a neutral, a true neutral action that Woodward did was in that same game was during the big fist fight. He just left like, you know what? Nah, this is not in the parameters of what we're supposed to be doing.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm leaving.
Yeah, you've risked too much.
Yeah.
There's these, and the fact that the balance has been upset in that Shionibus has been involved in a lot of these solo fights, which could have been avoided, but due to an honor code that Shionibus has, could not be forgiven.
Mm-hmm.
And there's just no point in that. Woodward's slighted all the time.
I feel that kind of Woodward's justifications in that would be you're putting the group in your own personal trials and tribulations and making the situation worse than it is. Example, Fort Raggedy.
Yeah, there's definitely aspects to that I think true neutral people think when they think blank slate.
Mm-hmm.
They end up making their characters a lot like that.
Mm-hmm.
They try to play that the side of things of being completely deadpan to a lot of the world around them. If I had to say true neutral is that's another great. True neutral is being stuck in the center of something with, if you think of it more like a number line, is what I do. Is you're trying to come back to zero no matter what the integer you have to take on is in either direction.
We got Adam Jenner saying the best example of true neutral is the dude on Futurama that said, I have no strong feeling one way or the other.
I have to say, Reap Psyche, keep on shouldering that burden.
Mm-hmm.
I'm so sorry, but I'm very happy that you're able to tune in. I'm not calling anybody out. I was just curious if anybody's going to say,
yeah,
Ian, you're way off the mark on this one. I think Atom Generator definitely brings up a great point of the true neutral. I was trying to think of an example, and I'm going to run with Lord of the Rings in this one because it is probably the fandom I've dipped into the most.
Mm-hmm.
If you want to get into it, it's the Wood Elves in the entire Sauron thing. They're so hidden, they're not really be affected by them, and the fact that Gondor is getting attacked isn't really their problem. Their homeland's fine, and what has Gondor done for them lately? That kind of feeling on things, that I will bring up.
It's like, you're not my friend, but you're not my enemy either,
Yep.
so...
Yeah.
Yeah, you just that's your problem. Go deal with it
Yeah,
yourself.
I am now getting to the point where every single way I'd have to bring up what I feel true neutral is, I would have to bring up a character's name.
Uh-huh.
And I don't want to do that because I
All right.
also want to bring them up in the actual three characters I
All
have to
right, all right.
choose.
But well, then you know what? Let's move on to our examples. For me, I'm going down that anime
Okay.
rabbit hole a little deeper with Genkai from Yu Yu Hakusho.
Okay. Great.
Mainly for the fact that uh, in the series, when she's trying to choose her successor, she doesn't care whether they're evil or good. She just wants to pass on her skills and abilities to the next generation.
Okay. I okay. Can I? I should give you my anime example
All right,
if we're gonna go down this
let's
really
go. Let's
quick.
go. Let's
We'll
go.
trade off.
Yeah.
I'm gonna say Miroku from Inuyasha.
Ah.
Uh, every single thing he approaches is the true neutral in Miroku is the fact that he doesn't really care what anybody else thinks about him. He's going to do what he's going to do. Throughout the series, he's even referenced of like, is there really a demon there, or are you just saying that to get money? As he's driving the cart full of goods down the road, that kind of thing is definitely the true neutral aspect of it, but has a lot of character to them.
Yeah. Oh man, that's like such also kind of a Better Call Saul situation.
Yeah, totally.
Uh-huh. Next one, my example, I'm going to go into westerns, the classic westerns, because before we said there's black hats and white hats, your stereotypical good and evil.
Hmm.
This character in the western genre, I feel is, even though he's considered good, he's more of an example of a true neutral character in the western
Okay.
genre. Blondie, the good in the good, the bad, and the ugly. Clint Eastwood's character.
Ooh. Yeah.
I think I feel he's more neutral because he's not really good per se.
Yeah, it's
He's if anything, he's doing what a lot of I feel true neutral characters do, reacting to things that's thrust upon them.
yeah. I think that's a big part of it is that they. Yes, I think you're onto that is the fact that
Yeah.
they are true neutral, but the true neutral can act in a good way if the evil beyond that would do something so bad that they would like cease to exist, which is basically
Yeah.
the entire.
Well, your example, I think your example said it best. The true neutral is always trying to get back to zero on that sliding
Yeah,
scale.
exactly. And obviously, me dead is not a good thing, so I'm not going to
Yeah.
stand there and watch the guy shoot me. That kind of thing. I'm going to try to defend myself. That's totally within the realm of possibility
Yeah.
for true neutral.
What's your next example?
I was actually going to go through to my Lord of the Rings and
Huh?
say Galadriel.
Oh.
Galadriel is beautifully true neutral, in so much so that even the artifact she pulls out during the movie, which is the scrying pool that Frodo looks into, is the whole thing of you're going to see what will become, what hasn't, all of those things of going. This is all the information you have.
Hmm.
But in the other side of things, true neutral in the fact that if you're watching the second of the Hobbit movies, Desolation of Smaug, when Gandalf ends up meeting with Saruman and Elrond and Galadriel, Galadriel actually helps Gandalf get out of that situation and further down the road, and doesn't actually rat him out for all the things that he's done, which is definitely true neutral of I'm going to stand here and I have a feeling that it could be opposite than the rest of the group. But in my way of doing good is just by me saying, I'm looking the other direction, Gandalf, do what you have to.
Really quickly before we get to our last picks, we got Storm Generator saying the Kirin who helps the protagonist in the anime The 12 Kingdoms will be true neutral.
I haven't watched that yet.
Mhm.
I
He
definitely
also
will,
goes
though.
on to say Eris Fenris from the Legend of Legendary Heroes is also true neutral.
Man, these are like I'm reading these examples and I have no idea what these
Well,
examples are, and I
I
feel
think this
horrible.
is another good example of a job. A scientist would be considered true neutral.
Yeah, I think for the most part could be considered true neutral.
Unless you're a mad scientist, maybe.
Yeah, here's the thing: is that's
Like
a
when you say
morality.
Victor von Frankenstein.
Yeah, when
would
you start
be,
you start getting into the weird morality of the fact
yeah.
that like that's
I mean,
the
technically he's
deeper
breaking
discussion goes is
man's
that
laws.
yeah, the deeper discussion there is that science itself is true neutral, but man's interpretation of the outcome of the experiments is where our morality on the alignment
Yeah,
scale
that's when we're getting
rises.
kind of murky.
Yeah, you start to get murky with the fact that it's like nuclear reactors are fantastic. Look what we did with it.
Oh, we got a Reef Psyche saying the Great Library Owl in Adventure Time.
I haven't watched that either. I'm telling you guys, taking in media, visual media is like not my strong suit.
Yeah, I mean, also pop culture is huge now. So yeah, there are things we have not gotten to.
And I would honestly, if Lindsay was sitting next to me, I would just look at her and she would tell me yes or no, because that's what I usually do when people bring up pop culture references. Or she even tells me things that I should know, but I have forgotten.
All right, let's get to true neutral now. To
our last characters.
Our last character pick. I'm going to end up picking another character down the line because it just popped in my head, but I want to throw this one out because I think it's a great one. True neutral. Godzilla.
I will agree with that. For the fact that if you go with the general workings of Godzilla, Godzilla is like one of my favorite movie franchises of all time. Under the fact that Godzilla, the entity, is just there to hunt and doesn't care what happens to get the other thing or to remain on top and doesn't care what it has to do to get there. Absolutely.
Yeah, Godzilla, I feel, honestly, it's an animal. So most animals, true neutral.
That is one of the biggest arguments for the true neutral thing, is the fact that does the animal itself have an understanding, like Godzilla, of the destruction it is causing to Tokyo?
Yeah.
Does it know what it's walking through?
Yeah, and also my next example would be kind of we discussed a little bit earlier. Godzilla just really, it reacts to what it's done to them.
Yep, absolutely.
Yeah, it doesn't go out with a malicious intent or anything when it goes on a rampage. Honestly, usually it's either mankind effing with it or like another kaiju or monster that's messing with it.
Yeah, it's acting to its pain responses.
Yeah.
It is hungry, it will eat. It is my guinea pig is beautifully true neutral.
I think Adam Generator put it best. Natural selection is a thing that is true neutral.
Yeah, totally.
And Reef Psyche also goes on to say Godzilla is nature's punishment for atomic and ecological hubris.
Yeah, I will never argue that. Reef Psyche, that is totally that is through the core of the origin of Godzilla. But as a species itself, I don't think that, or as a thing itself, it shouldn't be said that it has an alignment due to what it does, and I can only judge it on what I've seen it do in the movies.
I mean, if you consider other monsters such as King Ghidorah, or would be maybe that has a malicious intent, or when you go into other spectrum, Mothra, or a Baby Godzilla, or even Gamera.
Godzilla. Yeah.
Those are creatures with kind of a good intent.
Yeah. I really do like what Adam Generator just said, which is death on Discworld. What I was going to bring up as a true neutral is, I think, a classic and very much a pinnacle of the true neutral character is Dr. Manhattan. After that whole situation, Dr. Manhattan is kind of not really doing the greater good, but not doing the greater evil, kind of acting against those who would act out against him. in the same vein that the second iteration of Vision
Mhm.
is very much that
Yeah.
Dr. Manhattan stereotype.
Yeah. Also, I also want to bring out this one last thing. It's more of an organization, an entity, rather than a character. The Jedi Order. It's as a whole. The idea behind the Jedi Order would be true neutral, bring balance to the Force.
I think that their tenets are true neutral, but they are acting in a lawful good manner. Only for the fact that bringing true balance to the Force means that they wouldn't have Jedi hunting down every Sith Lord.
Yeah.
They would leave some of them. And that just doesn't... And again, I'm not a huge Star Wars fan, so I could be very wrong, but it just doesn't seem to be the case.
All right. What about you? Is there another one that you want to discuss? Real quick.
I think we've hit everybody. We've hit all the alignments that we were going to today. If I had to throw in I think true neutral is actually one of the most interesting things to talk about because it is more of a creed or a mindset than an individual. And that is hard to really kind of bring into perspective, especially when it comes to playing a character who should be doing good overall. Playing that balance, and that's why I wanted to play it as Woodwort, is making sure they don't get lost in this balancing act of actually having a personality and being able to have fun and do good things, but also do bad things. It is definitely a lot of people see the lawful alignments as I can do whatever I want, or the chaotic alignments. But if I stick to my rule of traveling one step in any direction of being a true neutral character, I definitely can act within every single portion of that scale.
All right. I think we are definitely getting there in time. So really quick, there will be a part 2 to this. So catch that next week. We're talking about the other side of neutrality and also the evil side of things when it comes to alignment. That one's going to be really fun.
The characters we're going to bring up are fun on that one.
That was awesome. We talked a lot about alignments. We really got into the nitty-gritty of things.
Yeah, definitely. Figuring out exactly where we stand on who we think is part of what alignment too. That definitely it brings up some interesting conversations.
Yeah, and I can't wait for the next episode. All right, but until then, where can we find you on the interwebs?
If you want to find me on the internet, you can find me at Bearded Skald. And if you are not looking for me on Twitter or Instagram, you can find me in our Discord under the same name. Come chat and hang out.
Awesome. And you can find me over the internet on my social media, which is at Mr. Kapow. That's MrKapao. Or my Facebook page, which is facebook.com/Michael Powell Does Stuff, because I do a lot of stuff, such as my YouTube channel, that's Fantastic Tales of Adventure. So yeah, until next time, we'll see you at the table. Bye.
Bye.